Our speaker for today is Victor Rentea. I hope I said your name right. And Victor, whenever you're ready, you can start presenting, introduce yourself, and let's have a nice presentation for today.
Yes. One thing before we even start, any question you have, absolutely any question you have. That's the point, right? It's a community meetup, so you get to ask questions. You just ask them in the chat. I will keep an eye on the chat at any moment. I will not know everything about what I'm talking about. I don't know 100% of IntelliJ. But what I will show you is the things that they helped me most to get very fast in this IDE. Right. And again, I want to issue just a bit. The purpose that I'm showing you today, how to get fast in IntelliJ, is not to help you get your work just done faster and just leave work. No, the point is that you can experiment different design ideas so you can find the simplest one. So I want you to become fast, not because I want you to finish work faster, no, because I want you to be not so much afraid of trying different ideas. So that's what you really need to be fast for. Right. So my name is Victor Rentea. I'm a Java champion, and I love simple design, refactoring, and unit testing. I had started a community of my own in Romania, which is now more than 2,000 developers. I am sharing the link right now in the chat. We also take English speakers, so you are most welcome to join. Every month I do a webinar in there, completely free like this, discussing stuff with people. Right, and I have a blog. I have a list of my best talks, which might be interesting for you. I mentioned one particular video about how to the tricks and tips to do trainings and actually presentations. It's in this playlist that I'm also pasting now in the chat. These are my best talks until now. Somewhere there is that engaging isolation. What I learned is delivering 250 hours of webinars in COVID. Right. So check that out, and there are some valuable tricks and tips for speaking if you are interested in that. Right. So what I do now, I do trainings dedicated for companies, and also open classes on Teachable for whoever wants. Yeah, my comfort zone is Java, of course, the Java standard stack and Java performance, but my most wanted topics have nothing to do with Java. Design patterns, clean code, unit testing, and reactive programming. This I can do in many languages. I have a full offer on my website. In case you're interested, there's my website, and there are my social details. You can find them on my website, and please feel free to contact me afterwards if there are any questions that you get, maybe after watching this offline. Right. Good. Without other delay, let's get down to business. So we have to cover a lot of stuff. So let's start with, I mean, it's not very, let's fluently discuss stuff. Let's start with the first one. To complete the statement. Now, very often we get to write different, like args. If this arg is different than null, then do stuff. Now, what you typically do in this position, by the way, folks, as I will type stuff, you will see in the right corner the shortcut that I'm typing in Windows and in Mac. Right. Now, I'm here, right? So you are about to do what? You are about to move your cursor right, space, bracket, enter. There's a lot of typing and a lot of effort to do that. Well, as a matter of fact, if you finished a statement and you want to just complete that, you just hit Control-Shift-Enter. Right? What the heck is that? What did it do? It terminated the current statement. You can be at your cursor at any position, just Control-Shift-Enter, it's finished. Where could you use it more? Let's suppose you write a function, like public void stuff. You put some arguments, and then right now you want to start, you basically want to write the function, Control-Shift-Enter, done. It opens the stuff. You want to write the class, the same thing applies. It finishes the current statement. But what if you are not really, let's say, you want to do what? You want to do args, clear, clone, I don't know, clone. Control-Shift-Enter now, what it will do, it will choose this option that I'm suggested here. And it will also put this very, very useful. You might laugh right now. What are you talking about? I'm talking about putting a semicolon at the end. Yes, but this helps a lot. Let me show you. So you want to call a method, for example, right? And you want to call this method providing some arguments in E. And then you just call the method, and provide the argument. And then right now, Control-Shift-Enter. Now, this finishes the statement. But now, what if this, by the way, this is red, and I have a little poetry of my own. When people get old, they get strange, and I set it to poetry. When it's red, yellow, blue, or gray, Alt-Enter will save your day. Actually, The frequency that you hit Alt Enter in IntelliJ is very well correlated with your seniority, with your experience in writing code. So a senior will hit Alt Enter, I don't know, 50 times per day, 100 times per day. A senior will hit Alt Enter when he writes the email. It will not work, by the way. The Alt Enter is there in your brain always. Oh, someone draws on my screen. Thank you. Let me show you how do I disable annotations. Yeah. 1 second. Annotations. I need to clear all drawings. That's good. Right. And just a moment. Yes, done. So when you see red in front of your eyes, you ask yourself, why is it red? Because it's not static. You can't call it right there. So you can make it like that. Alt Enter. So the flow is the following. When you see something colorful in your IntelliJ, you just click on it, or you press F2 to go to that error, to next error, and then you Alt Enter, and then you choose. Then you choose what you want to do. You want to make it static or not, right? There are two things you can do here. Static, done. Now, let's suppose this method returns you something, right? Returns you, for example, I plus 1, and now. Okay. Now another thing, if I just hit a semicolon, you see nothing really happens. But what if I hit Control Shift Enter? Ooh la la! It also auto-formatted, right? Just 1 second. It also auto-formatted, puts the semicolon, spaces, everything just like it should be. Now this method here is not really used. The result of this method is never used. So you call a method. Why do you call it? Let me show you. To get back some variable, right? So introduce local variable is a suggestion in this moment. That's actually very interesting and very useful. Anytime you write some expression, for example, you concatenate to print to console with something, anything. Right now, if you just, so what do I have right now? I have an expression of type string, right? Why did I do that? I want that expression should be stored in a variable. That's the normal flow, the train of thought, right? So Alt Enter, guess what will be your args? Yeah, because the toString of args is very ugly, so it suggests that. And then Alt Enter, the first suggestion, introduce local variable. And if you enter it, folks, I almost never define variables anymore. Let me show you why. I want to call some methods. Let me switch to some example. I want to call a method, each get days rented, for example. So I want each get days rented. Folks, another trick here, pay attention, at what gets blue. Now, only this will accelerate your speed a lot. Just put the words and over the dot. I call it the over dot expansion. Right? So you just say the first letters of get days rented, right? And then enter, and then Alt Enter will create for you the variable automatically and put the ending semicolon and define the variable with the proper type. Very useful. You don't need to struggle. What type was that again? You don't really care. You just call the thing, Alt Enter, enter, make the variable, done. Okay. So this is very, very, very useful. Alt Enter to define the variable of an expression that you had written. Good. Now, let's imagine this string you want to put, let me see, let me check here first. I showed you Control Shift Enter, checked. I showed you over dot expansion, which means like I showed you right now, each dot get days rented. Right. Let me show you another one. Local date time dot now. You can get that by just typing this. Yeah, there is a direct shortcut for introducing a variable, Control Alt V, but you should not use it really in this regard. I mean, because your hand lays by default on Alt Enter. Okay, so when your hand does nothing, you should be landing on Alt Enter by default. So that's the Alt Enter is just there, just variable, done. But yes, there is a shortcut for it. By the way, on my website, there is at some place a cheat sheet of shortcuts that you can use for refactorings. Somewhere here there it is. And also an editable format in case you changed some of them. Right? Just it's a Google Drive folder. Good. So what did I do here? I have assigned the value of an expression to a variable. Very easy with Alt Enter. Good. Then I showed you over dot expansion, and I was about to show you this. Thank you for the question, by the way. Good. And local datetime dot now, and you're done. You just type the thing, even if it's a static method. That's what I want to prove here. And what will this give me? A local datetime, of course. So guess what? Alt enter, enter. Done. Don't need to think that much. Interesting. Now, check this. I can check. The next one. Let's start with this one. This is quite fantastic. So let's assume that you start again. So local datetime now. But you see, this is a static function. Maybe a better example would be the following. Let me write a test, shall I? So let me write a test. The test, excellent. The test, perfect. Now, this test will have some, oh, by the way, what I just used here is default. It's a live template in IntelliJ. It's a default one, test. Test 5 is my own. I will get to that in a moment, but it just generates a stub and puts my cursor where it must be. Now, what do you typically do in a test? Well, let's suppose you call a method. Let's have a method here. This is another live template that I've created myself. Return 1. And then guess what? This doesn't compile because the method doesn't supposed to return an integer. Alt enter. Haha. Alt enter. And then I will call that, and let's say method, right? And what would you do? Let's type as you normally do. I will show you 3 forms of writing tests. The first form is the following. You start with assert. Oh my God. Dot assert equals. My God. Right? How much words you wrote? Now let's try a different one. Assert equals. Assert equals. Control space once. There's nothing there, master. But if you press again, I mean twice, IntelliJ will start looking for static methods to import automatically. Everywhere, right? So this automatically shows you the suggestion to do what you want. And now, as you all know and hate, this starts with the expected value and then method. Done. Now, let me dive some more. If you ever write tests, please do not ever do assert dot or assertions dot, just static import, of course. And that's actually what you typically do. So alt enter is the first option. It becomes very important to get very fast to know what the first suggestion is for these places. I know it's a bit strange. I'm talking about a tool. Yeah, I know. But this tool is what you breathe. This tool is what you use. This is your life. So assert equals, done. It has become a static imported method. Right, this is the first form of writing. The second form. Let me see, should I introduce it now? Yeah, let's try another one. Now it should be a function, right? Let's try again. Control space once, nothing master. Control space twice. Do you by any means want this? Yeah, cool. Another one. Current time millis. Done. Right. Then alt enter, enter, T0. Then duplicate the line, T1. And you do that stuff with measuring, manual measuring. Good. Right, now let me come back to my first code, and let's try some more. What if I want to take this string and print it to the console? How would you do that? Right? How would you do that? Let's try. The first idea. So we have this expression, or maybe typically when you start printing to the console, you will start with using cout, and you know about cout. It expands to system out, and then you paste it in. But you know there is a lot of work here, and this is not how we normally think. If you are honest with yourself, what you do, you get to the string that you want to print, and then you print. You knew about sout to expand in the system out, but then what the heck is that? Dot sout. And if you enter, it expands to the same thing. Now this is a bit scary at first. I'm like, what was that? What was that? They are called postfix expansion. And we can write our own. Let me show you the best ones, however. args.for. Folks, let's imagine that you have let me take a customer, new customer. And this by the way, what I created now, I just wrote the customer, alt enter, enter, and made a variable from it, just like I showed you before. This customer has a list of renters, but for some reason it misses the getter. How do you generate the getter? You all know alt insert, right? This is what the first thing you learn when you get to work. This is the professional development. But I will show you a better way. Get renter. What do you mean? Enter. Done. What? Yeah, you want to set rental? There you go. You want a, by any chance, do you want a toString? Enter. And you get the same dialogue as you get if you do alt insert. Do you want a hash code equals? The same. So stop generating stuff with alt insert. It's faster. You don't need to alt insert. Let me show you in comparison. Right? Alt insert. Then you need to scroll or you need to type. Maybe, but still, you are there. What to alt insert? Some keyboards don't even have an insert key. You have to function something. What the heck? toString. Done. Right? Cool. Now, coming back, I created my list of rentals. I've exposed it, but by the way, this is not generified, right? It misses this thing. Now, in case you ever run in such horrible legacy code, you should find the place that you add to that collection. And there you go. Try to generify. What? It automatically detects. Why add? Because add is the place that IntelliJ can figure out that if you add these things to the collection, then these should be those things inside. There you go. And knowing this type infers the diamond, the type here. Good. And now your rental gets back list of rentals. Cool. Let me get here and let me show you how you actually. Wait a second. What's wrong with this? Alt enter. Make public. Oh, it wasn't public. Oh, my bad. Alt enter. So again, this is how we work always. Right? What's wrong here? It misses a what? A parameter. Oh, okay. This is how we work. When something goes colorful, we alt enter it. And then let me show you. Let's suppose you want to iterate over the rentals of the customer. How do you do that? Well, the shortest amount of keys to type, customer.getRentals. The same thing that I showed you before. Enter. And then now comes the cool part. For. My friends, this is how you think. This is how you think. You get to the collection and then you start scratching your head and you say, oh, I need to iterate on that. This is the normal train of thoughts of people. You get to the rental and then you do for, right? Or you ask yourself, is it empty? And if it is empty, then I need to do something. Yeah. So for if S out, that's what I showed you. Let me put it there. I showed you S out, the default ones, if and for. These are the most interesting in my opinion. There are several more, but you know what? In normal code, what you typically do with this, for example, is not to put it on the console, but to put it on a log, right? So ideally, I should have not an S out, but a log. But I don't have such a thing. So let me create one. I will go to my postfix completion plus Java. I will say here log. I will say it applies from 1.3 and applies to the topmost. This is quite important, really. Log debug. And it says here, use expr for the thing that you will surround. Think about that. Expr. Right. Done. Okay. Let's see what happens now. Let's try again. Log. Enter. Done. You see it? Again, let me try another one. What's 1 plus 1? Dot log. Enter. Now, I don't have a log, right? Now, I don't want to go there today, although that's what I'll do in production. But imagine you don't have Lombok in your. Then what you want to do is private, static. Oh my God, really? Final. Oh no, please stop. Logger factory. What is he doing? He's writing by hand. No, please, new logger factory. Good. And then what? No, not that. It's a logger factory dot. Oh, now what you just saw here. It appeared just a second before, but not yet. Get logger. That's it. Logger factory get logger. Of who? Of IntelliJ play. As usual, class. Right. Now, this thing you will write over and over again in many classes. If you want to put a logger in the customer, you will do the following, but putting a customer here. This kind of line is idiomatic code. So what you do with that, you generate it. Let me go now to another section here. It's called live templates. That's way much well known than the postfix ones. So if you want to impress your colleagues, use the postfix ones. Java, let me create a new one. In the Java part plus live template. Now this will be a bit tricky. I want a log. I will make it logs slf4j. I want to type it logs. Right. So when I will type logs, I want to generate this thing, but not with this class every time, but a different one. Let me put that class name, a variable that I define, at which moment I can edit the variable and define it a name, a value really. For this one, I need to check Java, but really Java, Java declaration, I think. I will see if it works. And edit variables. Now this variable need to have a value. Now there is a bunch of things you can choose from, including class. Let's see, class name. Is it? Let me check. Class name, class name, perfect. And skip if defined will allow it to automatically be filled. Interesting. You hit OK. You hit OK. Another thing that you might be tricked into. Let me show you one first problem of this. If you type log, you will get that, and there will be no imports. You see? That's why you do the following trick: Alt Enter. So you specify in the live template the fully qualified name. Again, come back here, and you put the fully qualified name, and you take measures to check and make sure you check this: shorten fully qualified names. Let's try again. So let's assume there is no log or whatsoever in this class, nothing. And you come and you want to log. God, give me a log. Yeehaw. Right? So natural, very, I know that there are people out there, I heard that there are people out there who are selling the live templates they created on money. They created live templates to create Docker configurations or stuff like that. And they are selling it on money. They can get very powerful because these tokens that you've created over here, I have another one created custom by myself. It's called, let me say it. I think it's Met, where is it? Met, it's not here, it's in plain. I've put it in the wrong place, to be honest. Met, or test, this is the standard one. And this is the one that I added myself from a different package. And this is a bit different. Why? With end, you specify what the cursor should be afterwards, but then this one, you don't set a name for that. You put a default, but you don't check this. What this means really, in practice here, it means that when you write the test, let me write again. You get it created, but there are tokens. You can then tab through tokens and fill those tokens, even if they had default values. So live templates, super powerful, and postfix expansion useful to have a fluent train of thoughts. Another live template that I created, which I find very useful, is the following. How do you normally test code? You call method, and then you think, wait a second, I want to assert the value that this returns. Hey, there you go. Assert equals. This is my own. I created this one myself. And if you do that, it puts that thing in its place, and your cursor lies where you should write the value. Super. So again, look, method, and then assert, and I also have the assert for J version implemented. Assert equals, and you start typing here. Very, very useful, it frees your mind. Good. Now, let's see. So we've covered this now. Tab completion, that's one of the best ones. Come on. So let's go to my customer, and let's assume that, let me check a second. Yes. In IntelliJ Play, I have this customer. Yes, good. And I want to print the name of the customer. So how do I do that? Customer get name, as I showed you, enter, dot, sout. Right. Now, I want for some reason to change from get name, and I don't want to print the names, but the rentals. Now, in this moment in life, most people hit enter. If you hit enter, you have to do the dirty work. Right? You have to do delete, what the heck, or maybe selecting blocks and then deleting and struggling to find what you need to delete. And yes, I've done it. What the heck, my friend? No, it's a way better, way easier form. Instead of hitting enter, just hit. Let me just put one thing. And instead of hitting enter, you just hit tab.
Gangnam Style.
It's too good to be true. Again, so you override the current token, you see? Tab. Very good stuff. It frees the mind of, oh, I need to delete that extra tokens. I don't care about that. It's called tab completion. Very, very, very cool. Right, now, another one. Let's see. Type safe auto completion. That's creepy. That's a bit strange. Let me prove that stuff. So let's suppose this method takes an argument, but it's not an integer, but is a, let's invent for ourselves a little enum, my enum, right? And A, B, C, right? It takes a value from this enum, simple as that, nothing more, right? And returns one, whatever. Another thing, guess what? If you control space now, guess what will be the suggestion? Now, method, I will call this using one of the values in the enum. Now, if you just press control space, you will see a whole bunch of stuff. But really, can you ever imagine using the long suggestion in this regard? I mean, you are calling a method which takes and my enum. Why is long a suggestion? Okay, there is a correct one among these, but it's cluttered. For this purpose, control shift space. Control shift space, no, not control space, control shift space. There are people out there who said that they never hit control space anymore at all, never. Control shift space will provide you only those suggestions which directly evaluate to something assignable to the type that you are expecting. So it's like filtering all the control space suggestions to only match the type. Done. Very comfortable if you are using like enums or, yeah, very comfortable for enum. This is quite valuable for enums in particular. Right. So type safe autocompletion. Nice. Let's see. Importing statics, I've showed you that. Type safe autocompletion, I showed you already. Importing statics goes like this. I want here to parse an int. Parse int, control space once, I don't have it, control space twice, there you go, it's from integer. Here, A. So if you master these tools, you don't need to, okay, where was that again? Just put the method and control space until it appears. That's kind of the spirit. Right. Let's see more. Importing statics. Oh, and by the way, in case you want to import it completely, I showed you already. Click on the static method, Alt Enter, typically the first option, this one, it's the second one, it's parsing. Good. Next one. Generating boilerplate by writing directly, by writing what you want. This goes for getters, toString, hash code equals, hash equals. Control space also autocomplete statics, yes, if you want, but it's a bit creepy. Double, a circle radius equals 2 times pi. Control pi, control shift space once, control shift space twice. Come on, don't let me down. No, doesn't work. Control shift space, 1 second. With control space, it reaches it, but I'm not entirely sure why it doesn't work here. It doesn't expect a necessary double, to be honest. Let's try a different one. Equals pi. Control space twice, it works. So you asked if control shift space also autocomplete statics, really. Control shift space, I mean, with the type. As I showed you, it doesn't appear so. Let me try another one. Local datetime now equals control shift space. Yeah, it works. Control shift space, it only gets the local datetime suggestions. Now, in the meantime, you've also seen something different appearing. What is this? What the heck is this? This is out of scope, really. It's a Codota plugin, artificial intelligence code completion. You might be wanting to do this, my friend. There's that they expect based on what they scanned in the GitHub. They scanned all the repositories on GitHub public, and they have inferred some patterns. So you typically do that. Just enter. That's not super helpful in real cases, really. Does control shift space? And what about constructor generation? How do I generate constructors? Let's try that. So folks, again, ask things, maybe things that annoy you and you don't know how to do that. Well, generating constructors. I assume that you mean constructors using parameters, right? And if you take something through the constructor, then of course it should be final. So private final int a and b, right? And then guess what? It's exactly it's red and Alt Enter. But now you have a problem at this moment. You have to select all of them. Control A. And another trick for you, to add some dialogues, when you press enter in IntelliJ, they do different things. But control enter always close the current dialogue. This is important. Control enter will always complete it. Again, and I can do this insanely fast, but insanely fast. You just here, Alt enter, enter, done. And you will see my presentation doing that, and you will see also George Long doing this sometimes. Although Josh Long will just drop a data on here, and he will leave you to wonder what the heck is that, right? Good, nice. Oh, since just if you mentioned, if you do that, these final become useless really. But that I don't want to make it about Lombok today. Never mind. Good, but if you are curious, ask again. So what I showed you is generating boilerplate by writing what you want. You just write getter. So let's do that again. Let's imagine that this was actually, I just used a feature I didn't told you about, IDE, which is the best feature in IntelliJ. Now, my friends, I used Eclipse for 13 freaking years. I was in Eclipse. I was fast in Eclipse, very fast in Eclipse. But people kept telling me, switch to IntelliJ, switch to IntelliJ. Now, you can imagine after 13 years of Eclipse, it's not easy to switch to IntelliJ. It took me a while to decide, and then I switched. It hurt for 3 months, almost 6 months. I knew all the shortcuts in Eclipse. I knew them by heart. You can wake up at night, and my hands were on Alt-Shift-R and Alt-Shift-M. I knew everything. But then in IntelliJ, I was like a baby. What should I press? But one of the features which really convinced me to switch was this Alt-J. Now, this is wonderful. It can, look, Ma, 2 cursors. But not, you could do this in many other ways in IntelliJ, really. But this is so beautiful because it selects the token. Let me show you a real, more complex example. Imagine for some reason that, let me just find a good one. Yeah, you want to make all the functions in this class private. How would you do that? Well, let me tell you one idea. Select this, the token, Alt-J, until you come on the other end, Alt-Shift-J to come back once, step back once, and then you just got 3 cursors, private. And you can do, look, end, home. You can move up and line and put an, I don't know, an annotation, right? This is super incredibly powerful. Also works in, and it's delightful in JSONs, in SQLs or CSS. It's just good, right? Very, very powerful. Find all and replace. No, it's not find all and replace all. Not quite. Yeah, but you need to actually, you see, when you find a replace, you have to know upfront what you will be replacing. It's more than that. You can type, you can see it, you can decide what to write after you've selected where do we want to write. Super powerful. I mean, many examples. Let me give another example. For example, you want this, convert these to an enum. How do you do that? These are constants. We don't use constants in this century. So enum, type, put an enum surrounding it, and then you have to twist this. Look, you just take these, Alt-J 3 times. You see, and you can work your way around. Look, without deciding from the, and this is very. I moved to the end. I mean, what the heck? You couldn't do that unless with some reggae hardcore stuff. No, this is very, very easy to do. When you put a semicolon and you're done. Oh, and read the constructor, of course. Sure, there's the constructor, and this is the code. And then, by the way, if you take something through the constructor like this, don't you want to make it a field? I mean, the first suggestion is typically what you want. I mean, these guys these guys are super hardcore developers in JetBrains, and they've asked people and they've surveyed it, and this is what you typically do. Yeah? They did machine learning on our habits, and this is what you typically do. Right, good. Coming back here. Please ask if you want other questions off topic. I don't really want to cover all of that. I just want to ask your questions, really. So boilerplate we've generated, right? To string hash code equals stuff like that. Alt-J multi-cursors, one of the best features in IntelliJ. Surround with. Now, this is extremely useful for 2 reasons. Imagine this stuff. you want to wrap in a try-catch. How would you do that? Well, in Eclipse, how would, let's try. Actually, Eclipse also has an option to do this rapidly, but I wasn't aware of that. Try, and then at the right place, and then this is a problem because this might be many screens. So you put a try here, then you scroll, you find where you want to put your catch, and then you put the catch, and you hope you didn't get it wrong. Right, so let me prove the manual solution. Catch, right, exception, E, whatever. Good. Now, there is a very fast way of doing that. Folks, on my website, let me show you, walk through. On my website, if you go there in the Google Drive folder, there's one version for Mac. You just download it, and there is also an editable one, PowerPoint. And to answer your question, let's see, multi-cursor, Control G. There you go. This is the default. And by the way, I don't advise you change the defaults because you will be per programming at some point, and you will get into messy stuff and blah, blah, blah. So instead of doing all this hard work, you just select the block that you want to wrap in a try-catch. Control Alt T, try-catch. Done. Done. Let me show you another one. You want to execute this only sometimes. If, sorry, again, this, if stuff. So if and try catch, these are the most useful ones. All right. Now, it's again, let me Control Alt T, it's called, it's surround with, this is the shortcuts. But again, most of the shortcuts are also on that cheat sheet. Good. Now, one more trick. One more trick here. What if you open a file? Oh my God. Let's see. How do you open a file? Again, notice that now in Eclipse, I would start doing reader equals new file. In IntelliJ, no. New. Actually, in the last years, I didn't do that also in Eclipse. It has a new file reader. Okay. And then I want a.txt, right? And then guess what I want to do with this? Introduce local variables. And if you hit that, so folks, whenever you are about to start moving your cursor and start editing code and start, Alt Enter. See whether they figured out what you want to do. Reader, right? If you want to be polymorphic and pretend, then this. Now there is an exception here. Guess what will be the suggestion? Now, I didn't catch Victor's website URL. It will be my honor to paste it for you. A second, and there you go. Good. Do I mention I have a blog there? Okay, and guess what will be the suggestion? To throw. But this one starts to scare the shit out of people, to be honest. What the heck? Why is it there? Some people are angry about that. Some people are complaining. What are you doing, my dear JetBrains? Are you trying to kill the Java language by any chance? I won't go there. I have a talk about this on my playlist. I won't go there. It's a dangerous, weird feature, but typically we would like to either maybe try catch or throw. Let's throw. Yeah, carpe diem. YOLO, right? Then what you do typically, reader. Now, since some, let me see, if this were a, how do you do that? I think it's a buffered reader. Let me try to do that. I want to show you one more trick. New buffered reader. I think buffered reader got the new method in Java 8. Let me do that. Buffered reader. And I will press tab now. I will try to move a bit slower to get what I'm doing, everything, right? Regarding live templates, how do you migrate them? If you reinstall the Windows, can you export? Of course you can export. Of course. Oh, by the way, if you notice this little cloud here, what the heck is that? Let me check. Oh, IDE sitting synced with the JetBrains account that I have. And that you can do that even if you don't have a license for IntelliJ for the community. Oh, by the way, I forgot to mention. This is not a pitch. I don't have any relationship with JetBrains, no commercial interest. I'm just showing you stuff. Everything that I showed you today until now is completely free in the community edition. You don't have to pay to get this. Right. So in this, with this synchronization, it will get automatically synced. That's done. One thing I lost your chat. Perfect. And now this reader has a new method from Java. It's very useful. Very few people knew about that. Streaming the lines. Interesting. And let's suppose you for each and that, for example. Now, what did your mama tell you? It told you that wherever you open a resource, you should close it, right? I mean, that's a file. You don't want to leave it hanging. Although technically speaking, it's very hard to really leave it hanging. Java gets smarter and smarter to close it automatically, but still you need to try with resources. There you go, enter. I mean, it's so freaking easy. It's just, of course, what you want to do with something that is auto-closable, close it. Now, why are there exceptions? Because the close throws IO exception and catch close. Not catch, no, I don't want catch, I want the other one, the throw. Add the exception to the signature, perfect. So you see, try with resources and many other things you can do with Alt-Enter. Surround with, I've showed you, surround with, we did for if and for try. These are the most useful in practice. Refactor this, I didn't show you that, but what I've showed you is try with resources, perfect. I showed you how to define a variable with Alt-Enter, very powerful. It will have you not ever create a variable anymore. You will always generate them automatically, Alt-Enter, right? And oh, these two are very interesting. Let's get there. Oh, and one last thing. Well, I'm a big fan of pair programming, right? Big fan of pair programming. And I've done hundreds of hours of pair programming with Bianca. Bianca wasn't a very big fan of shortcuts. She was more of a mouse, like, yeah, more relaxed person. Okay. How do you copy multiple lines of string into a single one? Oh, very easy, my friend. Thank you for asking. Look, you have a query, right? And you want to get the final query. My friend, have you considered pressing Alt-Enter by any means? Copying string concatenation text to the keyboard? Yeehaw. This is a lifesaver. Lifesaver, your redemption. I mean, yeah, you can die in peace now. You see? Right. So, oh, if you wrote the recording of this video, and one thing about all the UI. Oh yeah, but that's the presentation mode. But I don't like that really. It's view something like appearance, something enter. Distraction free is, but think a bit better. Presentation is like that. Where is it? It disappeared. There you go. Big. It's a presentation. You see Venkat using this all the time, but he clears up everything around. Now, the first thing you will notice, you don't have any tabs. How do you navigate? Control E. Oops, Control E. Yeah, but it pops on the different screen. Control E will let you choose different and move you through the, or also Control Tab works. But again, for some reason, it displays on a different screen to switch between tabs. It's a bit creepy because you don't see the file name in which you are. Can we move a method defined in the start of a God class all the way? Yes, of course, Abby, thank you for asking. But let me just exit this if I can. I really don't like this mode at all. Okay, focus, appearance, exit presentation mode. Yeah, good. Now, how do you move methods around? Folks, pay attention. You may have heard of Alt Shift up and down, right? The most dangerous refactor on the planet. Now, you may not have heard of Control Shift Up, Control, not Alt. And your shortcuts are, if you're using Mac, you know, it's in the right. You probably are always using Mac. Anyway, so moving the method syntactically down to the end, exactly as you asked, Abby. Right. Good. Let's focus here. Now, I was telling you about Bianca, brilliant girl, and she wasn't just a big fan of the keyboard shortcuts and all that. And instead, look what she did. Well, she wanted to pull this out of this in a separate method. Just to be honest, extract method and rename, you should know by heart, right? Control Alt M and Shift F6. But if you just are completely noob about keys, one single shortcut you have to remember: Control Alt Shift T. I know there are a lot of tab. Oh, in Mac it's very easy apparently. But in a Windows, it's a pain to hit. But there you go. Let me try. And I will just then write what I want to do. Extract a method. Done. All the refactorings in that position are under your command. Very nice. Let me try what if I'm just with my cursor here. Do watch this again. It's very intense and I don't repeat much. First, here, I am on this place. I want to extract these two for some reason. For some reason. How do you do that? I could select these two. Okay. But I could also do the following. Press here, Control Alt, make it a variable, for example. Control Alt V, right there. And IntelliJ will ask me, didn't really get what I want to do here, but it will ask me, do you want to extract this or all of that? Or maybe this. So it tries to select syntactically correct blocks, increasing in size. You see? So this is the name. There you go. So Control Alt Shift T is the one shortcut you should remember. Refactor this is called, right? Control Alt Shift. I'm writing in Windows. I'm sorry, that's my OS, but yeah. Control E, you mentioned also, or Command E. It allows you to switch between files. It's the same dialog you get when you press Control Tab. And it's somewhat similar to Shift when you find files, right? But somehow I find it more focused. Look, it's smarter somehow. It shows you the last modified files in this session, really. And it has interesting things you can do with it. Control E. Recent locations, Control Shift E. Yeah, I've heard of that, but not used it very much. It tells you the places that you've been. My friend, you've walked this class and this place and this place. And you can double click and go there. Yeah, very useful. Thank you, Hamza. Very good. Right, let's see what we have. Unmodifiable. No, that's a good one. Folks, Java is an old language, 25 years. And the proof of that is Lombok. Lombok is the living proof that Java is old. They have to hack the language to, yeah. However, Java is an old language, and as a consequence, the collections are by default mutable, and that's a big thing. It's a big thing. So there you go. When you expose a collection from a customer, from an entity, it's a very good design idea to encapsulate collections. That's the name of the refactoring in Martin Fowler's book. To encapsulate collections, not to allow them to be freely modified from outside of this object, to keep control of them. And instead of having get rentals in which someone adds, to have an add rental dedicated method to add to the rentals. So in that case, you want to block the edits of this. Alt enter on the wrap with unmodifiable list. Beautiful. Now, this moment that you realize that they've implemented an automatic refactoring that you didn't really get the point of it, is the moment that you start getting a bad opinion about yourself. You might get into depression at this moment. I mean, I didn't know that that's a good practice, but they have already implemented it. Just Alt enter it. What the heck? Between project structure, yes, of course, Alt 1. But you know how I found that? Look, let me do that. I clicked with my mouse the project several times. It doesn't show it. Why aren't you there? There is a plugin that should kick in. Let me try it again. It's called Key Promoter X. I'll show you in a moment. Key Promoter X. And I use my mouse. My God, I use the mouse. There you go. And Key Promoter X tells me, my friend, you are not from this city, are you? We don't use mouse in this company. We use keys, my friend. Right? X Promoter, yes. So that will teach you. And actually, I found myself doing a lot of things, a lot of time. I was doing show in, where the heck is it? Show in Explorer, something like that. Right now, I don't even know where it is. There you go. That is. That doesn't have the shortcut. And Key Promoter X, because it saw that I keep pressing this menu over and over again, offered. It said, master. I see you are struggling. Don't you want to create a shortcut for that? So it will analyze your behavior in the IntelliJ, and it will offer to introduce new shortcuts. Very interesting. So this is quite strong. Good. Modifiable. Move variable closer to usages. That's brilliant. I have a friend who is passionate about clean code, about legacy code, really. It's not very typical, right? People usually run from legacy code. He is very passionate about it. If there is a weird, ugly project, he wants to go in every time. So let me, typical legacy code looks like this. deeply nested garbage, right? This is how it looks. And you know, do you remember? Let me bring up some memories for some of you. Int EGTLMN, and to help you with that, let me show you what I mean. Do you have any memories right now? Anyone? 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 Yeah, that's C, my friend. When a lot of code was ported from C, legacy code, and a lot of mindset was influenced at the beginning of Java by the C style of development. Yeah, and people coming from C did the following. Let me just, they wanted to use this variable around here somewhere. Let me just put this in, and you'll see in a moment what I mean. Can I do this perhaps? Yes, I can. I made a complete mess. I don't know the code anymore myself, but it doesn't matter. Look, total amount is defined here. Look at where it gets colored, right? This amount. Oh no, total amount. Sorry, total amount is defined here, used here and here. You see that it's not really used in the surface of the method, but in the deep of it, in the depth of it. So what do we do? You could move it manually, right? But this is prone to errors, really nasty errors. So Alt-Enter, move declaration closer to usages. The lifesaver. Yeah, no, thank you. Alt-Enter, it moves to the perfect, to the syntactically correct place to have it. Very powerful technique for legacy code. One more thing, the result. If you don't enter the ifs, let me see if I get it to on the right path. Move up in the if branches. Interesting. But let me see. Else, result, to give you a simple example. Nothing. Now, if you look at this code, this is very simple code. You could actually return directly from here, right? Alt-Enter. Move return closer to computation. You see, it returned directly from there again. Now, there is a very big chance of doing bad things if you do that. For example, oops, S out. If you want to manually put a return here, you just introduce the bug, right? Critical logic, for example. Right? So you don't want to take chances with this one. So instead, you just, if you think the return could be earlier in the flow, you hit Alt-Enter on the return. If IntelliJ sees it can't, it won't offer. Syntactically proven, checked, right? So this meant move variable closer to usages from the declaration down to where it's really used, and move return closer to computation. Right? And that's kind of it. Extract expressions, I've showed you that when you just lie on a line, a random line, and you just hit Control-Alt-V, for example, and IntelliJ asks you, what do you want to extract, master? Good. Now, any questions you have? You asked already, but maybe there are something I didn't mention. Any Control-Alt-Shift-Insert? My God, what's that? Ooh, did you know that? To keep some code snippets. Oh no, don't keep code snippets like that. Have you ever heard of Control-Shift-V? Knowing whatever you copy pasted, right? Even your credit card details from Chrome are there. So pay attention. Okay, debug. Runtime debug. If you know me, I'm against debugging with breakpoints. But I do have one trick. This is a paid feature, I think, which is called analyze these ones. So folks, if you are on legacy code, this will save your life. Try these. Click on a variable somewhere and play with these. No one knows about it. Super powerful stuff. Can trace where the data came from. Right. Oh, I see, Igor. I get the point. You can't put a lot of JSON in a Scratch file. Yes. Folks, if there are some leftover questions, if you want to tell me more tricks that I didn't know, Alt space to take a peek without going into the declaration of something. What's that? Alt space. Alt space, to my case, it opens the, doesn't work in my case. I know about Control Q to look at the Java doc of stuff. I have more other things to say, that these are the most important ones that will get you faster. But again, folks, the purpose is not to finish faster. The purpose is to be free to try different ideas, different design ideas, to quickly sketch them, to get to some conclusion, and to say if it's okay or not, if it's simple or not. While debugging an eclipse, we used to restart from the method starting point again. I don't know that. Again, I don't do much of breakpoint. I don't like breakpoint. I will write a unit test and test it in a unit test. How do you can show the parameters of some method when completed the method code? That's easy. You press Control P. Control P will tell you everything that you can. They couldn't, in case there were many arguments. Let me show you.
Hello. Hi.
Index. So method. Now method now has 2 arguments. Control P. You see? Right. What else? Wow, now it's your turn to teach me. So I should have. Yes, you can. If you click on the link, Control Alt back. Someone of you told me that. Control Alt back, and again, right, left, right, left, and again left where you've been before. And you also show me Control Shift E. Very cool stuff. It shows snippets of where you've been to. Why don't I like breakpoints? I will blog about that. What are the alternatives? Unit testing. 2 hours of struggling to get that piece of garbage under tests. Yes. And log debug instead of breakpoint. And exception rethrowing. Check my blog. I will be posting it very soon. Right. I'm kind of done. You probably have to return to work. So thanks a lot for this time frame. Really appreciate that you've been able to take from your time right now in the middle of the day and stay with me. In case there are any questions, reach me out. My email, the best is Twitter. That's it.
Yeah, that's it. So that's a wrap. Incredible presentation. Lots of questions and interaction in the chat, people helping each other, helping Victor with answers. So it was great, amazing, very funny. I had a good time. Best presentation ever. And Victor, I think that definitely you have to come back again, and give another presentation, maybe expanding more these tips, or I don't know, but it seems that people really liked it. We have lots of messages in the chat now. Thank you, it was awesome. So great. Thank you very much for your time. Thank you for the audience, for the time, for the participation, for the questions. I hope, and I think that everybody had a good time. I shared the link of the YouTube channel for the LGC. So this meet should be available maybe next week, so you can watch it again. Victor shared his blog, website, Twitter, everything. And that's it. Thank you all. Thank you very much. And see you in the next meeting.
See you. Bye. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Bye all.
Thank you very much. That was great.